Hi everyone, welcome back to Java on for All. In this video, we are going to talk about the static modifier, but we are going to apply it to methods. So let's go back to our car. In the previous video, you saw that the static, when applied to an attribute, will make this attribute belong to the class. So it means that every time you create a new object, you will have the same value. So as long as the object is being created from this car class, all the objects that are an instance of this car, they will have the speed limit to 250. And if you change the speed limit, it will apply to all objects. Now, we were working with public. We are going to change this to private. And there are some interesting things that's going to happen here. So let's create the public getter and setter for this speed limit. So first, let's create the set. Now, let's start with get. The syntax is the same. You can either use public static or static public, but the way the convention says is that you should have the access modifier and then the static modifier. So it just works, but it doesn't mean that you're supposed to do. Now we are going to return a double because speed limit is double. Get speed limit and return. So again, we are working with static methods. Now, what happens if I try to get this dot speed limit? As you can see, we have a problem here. So why is this giving an error? But if I use here, it works. Remember, when we are working with statics, either methods or attributes, they do not belong to an instance. It means that we do not have an object. So sometimes, yeah, we can access from the object, like in the print method, but when we have static methods, there is a chance that there will be no objects at all. So we cannot call this because this is always making a reference to the object itself. So at this point, there is a chance that the object will never exist. That's why Java is telling us it's impossible to use this inside a static context. But when we are inside print, we have absolute certainty that we will have an object here. That's why we can use this, even though it's wrong, it's possible to use this because this belongs to an instance. And since this is not static, I know, and Java knows for sure, that at the time you have this print being executed, you will have an object because it's not static, just because it is not static. That's why I can access this inside non-static methods, but inside static methods, I cannot access this because it does not belong to an instance. So the correct way would be either speed limit or car.speedLimit. And the setter, public static, since we are not going to return anything, void set speed limit. And now we ask here for a new speed limit. Same thing, we cannot use this dot speed limit because it doesn't exist the this. So car dot speed limit equals speed limit. And the same thing, if you remove car dot speed limit, it's like you are assigning the value that's coming from this double to itself. And by the time this line 22 is executed, simply you won't have anything being changed inside the speed limit. So the same way we had to apply this when we are working with other setters, here we need to call the reference that this speed limit is having to that class. So car.speedLimit will be now the value that's coming here. So let's test. On car test 01, we can change here. So instead of calling, for example, car.speedLimit, car.getSpeedLimit, and you can see that's kind of italic. And here, car.setSpeedLimit 180. and by executing this code, we get the result speed limit 180 for all of them. And here, the 250 because we didn't change. So you can never access any instance attributes from a static context. So for example, if this print method was static, you will notice that you cannot access any of the instances variable because, well, again, there is a chance that you won't have any objects and they will only exist with an object being created because they are not static. So inside a static, you can never access the instance attributes, but you can access from an instance method the static attributes because they will always be there for you. And now that we are on video 62, you finally understand what means this line. We have been writing this line like several times. Now you know that public is an access modifier. Static is going to tell that this main method belongs to the test. Void is the return. It means that there are no returns. Main is the name of the method, the entry point for the Java JVM to execute this class. And we are asking here a parameter that is an array of strings, or you can also ask varargs of strings. And if you execute, you do have the same result. So I think that's enough for static modifiers within methods. That is one more thing that we should talk about static before we finish for good. So let's do that in the next video. Bye.